What's your reaction to the death of Jimi Hendrix?
Well, I didn't know anything about it until half an hour ago, and I'm still stumbling around trying to believe that it happened, you know.
It's a tragedy.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy.
What's your reaction to the fact that he died from an overdose of drugs, reportedly?
Well, that's what makes it hard to comprehend that the whole thing happened, you know.
Why?
Well, it's just such a shock when a statement is made like that, especially at 10:30 in the morning.
Do you in your songs advocate the use of drugs?
No, not at all.
No? Not at all?
Not at all.
The group that was #1, the Beatles, found that just this past week had their songs quoted by Spiro Agnew. Would you like that to happen to you?
I really don't know. I haven't seen Spiro at any of our concerts yet.
I thought he was a model for a wristwatch, wasn't he?
Well.
That's the sort of thing you have to face, you know, if you're going to be successful.
Really? Well, I'd like to meet
nice.
him. Does he come to the concert?
What's the difference between you and the Beatles as far as your music is concerned?
Well, I don't know. I suppose you'd equate the two by saying that they're both statements of what's going on in the music scene today. But we're completely unlike the Beatles, I would have thought, in our music.
Well,
I'm sure they feel so.
How do you feel about the Beatles?
I think they're great. They've done some fantastic statements.
Have you taken, have they been in any way kind of the leaders for you, even, or have you emulated in any way?
No, not for myself, not consciously, no.
I think they've
obviously one's heard what they've done because it was pumped through the media all the time.
I think the fact that they got through to so many millions and millions of people has been an inspiration for every performing group in England, and I should imagine in the world, you know. The fact that they got over so much to so many people.
Would you say at this point in time that they seem to appeal to a slightly older group than you do, and that you're getting the younger kids coming up?
I should imagine that it's the same for every group who achieves a success on a large scale. You can't always apply your success just to one age group of people, because the bigger you get, the more wide your limits become.
I'd like to ask another question about the Jimi Hendrix death. Is that there has been this very, very close association in the minds of a great many people between drugs and rock music. And when someone like Hendrix, who was such a great star, dies and it says drug overdose, everyone sort of says, aha, you know, I knew it. What do you think of that type of thinking?
Well, that's been put into people's minds so much by medias that, you know, get through to a lot of people, like, you know, press,
like this one, yeah.
Press and television and things like that. As soon as one person on the rock scene makes an example of himself, then I think it's the usual thing for everybody around to sort of attach that to everybody else in the business. So therefore the whole thing becomes quite warped, you know, the whole idea of drugs and rock. And I think rock is enjoyment and complete, you know, loosing the inhibitions and just really having a good time. It doesn't really have to apply to drugs and things.
What
Did you know Hendrix, by the way?
No.
Did you?
Yes, I met him a few times. But I'd like to say, what about Judy Garland and Edith Piaf and people like that are supposed to, you know, appeal to the older generation? You know, surely there's some tie-up there with drugs, isn't there?
Do you feel that perhaps this image projected about rock groups is created by the generation gap, by older people who perhaps don't understand and find that this is the easiest way to make themselves understand?
Yeah, probably. I'll give you a straight yes on that. I won't elaborate.
Well, in terms of this, do you feel that rock groups have not been given the proper feeling, the proper image by the...
Of course, they've never been allowed to get across. I suppose less so in England because the media is pretty biased as to rock music, and as far as television coverage and radio, it's virtually swept under the carpet. It's given very bad viewing times, not peak hours at all. So that speaks for itself, really, doesn't it?
I have a rather obvious question, but perhaps you'll indulge me. There's a phrase going over like a lead balloon, and I was wondering whether the Zeppelin had more of a chance than a balloon in your mind. What was the origin of that? name.
Yeah, it is a play on words like that. Led Zeppelin has the same connotations as Lead Balloon has over here.
Do you think that, in view of the fact that you've unseated the Beatles, that the Led Zeppelin may be in a better position than the Balloon?
Well, at the moment, we hope it is.
Yeah, right.
Could I ask you one other question about Jimi Hendrix, apart from the way that he died? What did you think of him as an entertainer, as a musician?
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
He was completely fresh when he came along, wasn't it? The first time I heard one of his records, it was Hey Joe was the first record I ever heard. And the atmosphere on the record was something that you can really capture on wax. You know. It was an incredible sound.
What kind of an entertainer was he?
Well, I think he was the same as what we've just said about entertainment, really. He'd go on stage and put every iota of everything that he'd got inside him at the time into what he was doing. And the audience felt that.
Yeah.
You know, the reactions that you know of that he received are indications of that. Certainly not.
Does the name Madison Square Garden have a certain ring to it in New York? You've never appeared there before.
Yeah, ball games.
No, I don't.
And that sort of thing. So we managed to do away with that idea.
Well, the Stones didn't play on a revolving stage.
No.
They played in the proscenium setup, which is...
Yeah, but Blind Faith played there before, on those lines.
Okay. When you think of Madison Square Garden, you haven't appeared there yet, but you're going to. What do you think?
I think it's football.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they,
That's a bloomer, isn't it?
yeah. They don't have many rock concerts there, though, do they? So that's what one has to think of, because that takes top priority.
Anything about ice hockey?
Well,
Yeah.
I've seen it, yeah.
I saw a guy on one of those pictures everywhere, and he was advocating what a great game it was.
Well, you know, that happens.
It's like those sticks, you know. What do they sharpen them with? I really, you know, I'm just...
Do you think that rock music is a gentler sort of sport?
Sure, there's not so much brawl needed, is there? That's all brawl.
Yeah, we
It's the other
I remember one...
The rock groups are pricing themselves right out of the smaller halls like the Fillmore or the Capitol.
We worked for him 2 weeks ago.
And he said that in like about a year or so, if you guys all keep charging so much, nobody will be able to carry it, except maybe a garden.
Well, it'll be what it was 2 years ago. Maybe that's what he really means to say.
All right, well, you know,
Exhausted.
Okay.
all right, Jimmy, I want to get Hendrix. I